You're listening to XVGM Radio. Welcome to XVGM Radio, where the bits keep coming. I'm Justin.
And I'm Mike.
And this is episode 128. Same song, different arrangement. Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds Ultimate.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about a game that I have talked about for God knows how long.
Like, you won't shut up about it, actually.
I really won't. Yeah, Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds. Originally, it was released just as Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds and then came out as Overdrive. Recently it got a updated port to modern systems under the name Ultimate. And to do that, we are going to be covering three versions of songs that you just heard, and we're going to break that down in just a minute. But before we do that, we have a special guest who's joining us on this, and we've got a special announcement for the future of the podcast. So before we introduce the guest, Justin, take it away.
Oh man, I'm not prepared for this. I should have written a speech.
7 years ago.
Yeah, so XVGM Radio has been a lot of fun, and wow, as soon as I start it that way, you immediately know what's coming. It's been such a good time, but I have to go. No, so I've just been dealing with a number of various life things that have kind of taken some of the joy out of some of the activities that I really like, and this is one of the things that I really like. So the quick and dirty version is that gross. It's very dirty. I am stepping back a bit. I'm not disappearing. I'm not quitting. I'm not leaving. I'm not blowing up Mike's house or burning it down. We're still going to do
You're just going to leave me to do that.
I am. Right. As doing as little work as possible now.
Right.
But so I'm stepping back from the show in the new year. We're going to start the year with a big special episode, which we'll talk about a little bit more later. But I will be in less episodes, and to help Mike not flounder on his own, we have enlisted the help of some other really cool podcast hosts.
Yeah. So we had a discussion about it, and we were like, what do we want to ultimately do with the show? And Justin wanted to continue to participate, but wanted to, kind of dial it back a bit, because we've been doing monthly episodes now for a good long while. We did a
couple of years.
I mean, we did every other week for like 4 or 5 years, and then we finally dropped down to once a month. And, we're all old and busy and adults. And so we ultimately decided, he didn't want to completely step away, but he wanted to still participate. And the best way to do that is we decided to do quarterly episodes with Justin. So starting in the new year, as you said, in January, that'll be your first episode that you'll be on. And then you'll be back on in April. And then July, and then October.
So I will still be a Spooky Fest host.
Correct, yes. After Darks will continue. So XVGM After Dark will still be once a month, every month, Tuesdays, generally, unless schedules change. And our live shows will be also dropping down to quarterly. So you'll still get a monthly After Dark with Justin, and live shows and episodes with Justin will be quarterly.
Yep.
Right. Okay. Now, you're probably wondering, what about the other months? Well, we've enlisted the help of two co-hosts to join us. They are going to be joining us quarterly as well. So in February, May, whatever it is, basically they'll be quarterly. The first of which is the third host that's already with us, Nico. So Nico Tengoku will be joining us, and he had a special message that he wanted to share. So Nico, take it away.
Hey everybody, this is Nico Tengoku here, wanting to say hello to all you fellow XVGM Radio listeners and how excited I am to be a co-host here for the show. I appreciate the gang for coming to this decision, and being a part of a rotating cast was a great idea. I look forward to sharing more tunes with everybody and having more fun discussions of the wonderful music that is out there for video game music. So until then, take care everyone, keep on listening, and I'll be seeing you all again here very soon.
That's right. Yeah, you'll be seeing Nico appear on the show in his usual January spot, and then he'll be joining us on the March episode, and so on and so forth, every quarter. But we have one more special host, and he's actually sitting in the room with us right now. So
who could it be?
Well, it's Ed Wilson from VG Embassy and Pixel Tunes Radio.
Oh my God, guys, it is so awesome to be here. And I'm so glad that you guys have reached out to me to join the... No.
Janine.
What? Did you guys not tell Janine that I was going to be the new co-host?
I mean,
I know she's on board with Nico.
Yeah,
Did you not pass that memo to her?
I thought you were. Uh-oh.
Janine,
Oh, boy.
Janine,
Well-
you can't be a co-host. Nobody can understand what you're saying. No, I'm not being racist. I'm just like, literally, you don't speak a language of this earth. I don't. She's pissed.
Listen, we'll sort that out afterwards. Janine, we pay you, okay? You were never going to be a host on the show. You know that.
Tell you what, Mike and Justin will double your salary as recompense. Double zero is still zero.
That's true.
We can swing that.
Yeah, I think she's still working for granola bars and tea.
And I mean, I buy her a new sweater once a year.
Oh, okay.
Usually
okay.
a Christmas gift.
That's nice.
And
That's
adult
nice.
videos of Mother Brain.
Right. Anyways, so yeah, we're having Ed come on as the fourth co-host of XVGM Radio.
Yeah, all jokes aside, super happy to be here. As some of you may know, VG Embassy sunset just August of last year. It's been a while. It's been over a year since I've actually been on the mic with you guys. Yeah, or with anybody for that matter.
Wow, it feels like it was okay.
Well, you were on an After Dark with
I did an
us.
After Dark with you guys, but it's going to be really cool to get some of that like old Pixel Tunes radio magic back with the two of us.
Sure.
And I've had hundreds of hours combined with both of you on the microphone at this point.
Right.
So
Gross.
it'll be a nice comfortable jumping back in and spinning some cool VGM tunes. So I can't wait to start doing that.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we're going to do it right now, so I don't even have to wait.
That's
for it.
true, yeah. This all came about very odd because we didn't plan for this to be like the announcement day, sort of.
Just kind of
we did
worked out.
afterwards, but we had planned this episode way in advance, so Ed was always going to be on this episode. It just so happens that all this kind of came about earlier in the summer, so.
Yeah, and then it was kind of my suggestion of like let's not just drop it on the January episode.
Right.
Like give people a little bit of a heads up.
Yeah. So with all that said, let's get back into the music of Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds Ultimate.
I mean, awesome opening track. This might already be my favorite track of the episode, and we haven't even gotten to the real stuff. But,
What is the name of the track?
oh, that's right. So the track is called "I'm Frau."
I'm Frau.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, this is from the only game that we're talking about, Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds Ultimate. But yeah, I'm Frau, the wavetable version. Then we played the FM version and the remix, and it was, if done correctly, it was kind of a mashup of one to the next to the next.
Right.
So that's not how all of this is going to go. We're going to do our normal style of breaking up the tracks and introducing different things, but. Solid composition just in general, but like the wavetable version, I like how it was super chippy and chirpy right up top. Like really let you know what it was and what they were doing. I got some like Commodore 64 SID chips style stuff in there. Like didn't feel 100%. It's obvious. It's obvious that this is like a mixture of different things, but there's that sound that the Commodore 64
Like not quite arpeggios.
Yeah.
Or is it arpeggios or arpeggios?
Arpeggio.
Arpeggios.
It's a soft G.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and not fully, but there was enough of that quality in there that made me go, oh yeah, it reminds me of like the SID chip.
Yeah.
And there were bits and pieces of that I was trying to figure out like where do I feel like I've heard some of these sounds before, and I determined that the wavetable version was giving Blaster Master.
Okay.
I could be totally wrong on that.
Yeah.
But that is what my brain told me.
Okay.
It's really, it's definitely not like, it's not aping any like classic system at all. In my
it's not
opinion.
like it's a Sunsoft.
Yeah,
chip
I
or
think it's more
something.
just like a wavetable, like modern synth that they're using. It's definitely not FM, but it's rich and there's a lot of layers, and they're not staying to like the 5 or 6 channels that an NES or a Mega Drive would try to stay within.
You're right.
But it was fun. It was bright. It was airy. It was a lot of fun. The FM was really cool too. It made it feel a little bit darker, I think, because FM just tends to do that.
Yeah. Much more crunchy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like the FM version was giving Toa Plan.
Okay.
A bit, not as farty, but like definitely like the vibe of it was definitely
less harsh tones.
Well, there were some semi-harsh things in there, that's kind of what it brought me to. Like, there were just things happening in the FM version that just brought me all the way back to our second episode, and I was like, oh, this reminds me of some of the stuff that we played on that Toa Plane episode.
Toa Plane also, like with their shmups, tends to have a real banger soundtrack for level 1, and then it kind of tapers off as it goes. And this feels like a level 1 Toa Plane shooter for sure. And then the final arranged version was incredible. Like, generally, I tend to prefer chip songs over arranged songs. But using like the chuggy guitar for the bass line and just all the there was even like some hand claps in there. I was like, channeling a little Matai Sakuraba.
I didn't even notice that. I was so focused on like the match of the metal guitars and like the VGM synth. I'm gonna say it one more time. This is giving Zuntata to me. Something about this just felt like some of the stuff that we listened to on that Zuntata episode.
Oh, okay.
And it was just like the combination. It is that combination of like the actual guitars, and then I didn't expect to hear the synths that I heard there. I was expecting it to be more like a real instrument remix, and then again those synths came in and I was just like, oh, that's really cool, and I like the way that they matched them up and they really played off each other well.
Yeah.
I was pretty surprised at how much I enjoyed the remixed version of the song.
Yeah.
As much as I love the original wavetable and FM versions of these soundtracks, I gotta say this is really good. I really dug the guitar-driven stuff, and it felt really rough, but like in all the right ways. Like, it was really enjoyable to hear. But I was wondering if this really does truly like represent the wavetable and FM versions of the song, in the sense that the wavetable and FM versions I always felt were a little bit more dancey sounding, and the remix is more rock driven.
Yeah.
So I'm curious as to why they didn't also go with a more like song, like a more dancey song, electronic song to represent those other two versions. But maybe that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how Ed feels about that, but I feel like it's just you.
I think
only because in the wavetable version, I was actually trying to pay attention to kind of the percussion and the bass line, and obviously this was not like a buzzy bass, which I'm always known to call out, but the bass that was there to me felt more kind of rockish, and between the bass and the percussion didn't feel like it was prominent enough to me for me to feel like it was like a dancey kind of track. Like I got pretty much rock or like alt rock out of the wavetable version for most of it.
Okay.
So it's interesting to hear the idea of it being more of a dance track. Like, I can kind of hear what you're talking about. But it's just I did not get any of that when I was listening.
Okay. Kind of like Journey, where it's like keyboard driven rock sometimes. Like that's the kind of sound I was getting from it. And I think the guitars were really just rhythm. Like if he had replaced the keyboard leads with Sweetly Meadleys on a real guitar, I might have leaned toward rock a little bit more. But and you're a much more bigger rock guy. Justin and I we like some rock, but also more electronic stuff.
Sure.
So maybe we're just coming at it from it's so much in the middle that we're just kind of meeting it from our own perspectives and seeing different things.
That's true.
That's a good point.
So what's the consensus on which track do we prefer?
Oh, which version?
Yeah,
I'm going with the final arranged. Hands down.
Yeah.
I think so. I think I'm going to go with the arranged as well.
I'm torn between that and the FM one. I mean, I liked all three. Yeah. I was drawn more to the FM one. I think because it felt a little bit darker, like you said. But I mean, now I just feel stupid if I don't go with the arranged version.
You're allowed to have a difference.
No, I know.
It's like ordering pizza. We're never going to agree.
Right.
No, that's fair too. Yeah, no, honestly, I don't know if I can decide. The FM version was really cool. I was surprised by the arranged version, and I really enjoyed how they did it. Yeah, screw it. I will say the arranged version because it surprised me.
Yeah.
And because I liked the way that the guitars and the synth were playing with each other.
Yeah,
One of us. One of us.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt too. So we'll get into the game a little bit more as we talk about the rest of the soundtrack. Here's the thing, we're only playing 3 additional tracks, but we're playing 3 versions of those songs. And so we're going to take it off with our new co-host, Ed. Ed,
you're going to take it off with me?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
we're getting intimate already.
I didn't even have to buy you dinner or a movie. What are we listening to? What do you pick?
So first off, I don't think we mentioned that the tracks are composed by Takeshi Abo.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's also worth noting that the wavetable was on the original Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds, and then when they did Overdrive, they released the FM version, which was DLC that you could grab as well. Or maybe they introduced it as DLC for the original version, and then Overdrive it came with. I'm not sure, but then this remix version is, of course, exclusive to the Ultimate version of the game. So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the first track we're going to listen to is called Tadaima.
All right, cool. Let's get into it.
All right, that was the wavetable version of Tadaima. Coming up next is the FM version. That was the FM version of Tadaima. Coming up next, we've got the remix version. All right, back on XVGM Radio, that was the remix version of Tadaima from Phantom Breaker Ultimate Showdown X Alpha 2DX
Hyper Edition
remix. Yeah, that was the wavetable version, the FM version, and the remix version, all played one after another. I chose this one because, A, it was kind of a light and fluffy track that...
Yeah.
The other tracks are like really like get up and go, super funky battle tracks.
Japanese action music.
Yeah, and the intro track that we had was really high energy, and I kind of like this because it feels almost like an RPG town or like a visual novel where the hero's at home and just kind of relaxing with their family.
Yes.
Tadaima means like, it's the Japanese phrase that means I'm home. Like it means just now or something like that. But it's what you would say when you enter the door and call out to your family, like, Tadaima.
Yep.
Ah.
So, and I also liked it because the three versions sound really different from each other.
They do.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked at how differently, and that shows how much effort Takeshiyama put into these songs too, is that he really thought about these chips and what to do with them and how to, create these songs very differently from each other.
How to translate those songs into a actual like Red Book audio style sound.
To make them sound like they were composed for those different mediums, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
How they really like concentrated on those twinkly arps for the wavetable version.
Yes.
And then also in like the wavetable version, the percussion sounds like somebody just whacking on a metal sheet. It's like a very like warbly kind of a thick snare.
Yeah.
But then when the FM comes in, it like that, you're like, okay, now it sounds like a real snare. Like I don't know what was going on before, but
yeah, just the choice of sound, I guess.
Yeah, and then the remix version is honestly my least favorite version.
Oh, interesting.
Of them.
Okay.
I don't know. I just thought that the lead synths were a little too you up front, where I kind of like the arps and the bass. The bass tone in the remix version is really nice. It's really rich and
it's FM.
Yeah,
it sounds like
exactly.
sounds FM,
but like a modern FM with
right.
like more operators than like a Mega Drive or a Sharp X68000 would have.
Yeah, the FM version to me sounded like something out of like a PC-98 visual novel.
For sure.
So when you said visual novel, that brought me in perfectly.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Too.
That's kind of where I was with that as well. Like this track, it being called Tadaima, it makes a lot of sense. Like it feels like you were saying, it feels like being at home. There's a game that I played a while ago. I think I played a track from it called Murder by Numbers. It's a nonogram / like Phoenix Wright-ish type game. And this track reminded me a bit, like not obviously directly, but it reminded me a bit of the track that plays when you are at home with your character. It's always the same kind of track, but it's arranged differently depending on what's going on. Like when you're home and there's like stuff going on and it's tense, like it's technically the same music, but it's changed to be more kind of like intense and stuff. But like this reminded me of the like we're home and kind of just relaxing between cases type thing.
Yeah,
and it was really cool. The wavetable version, like you said, those twinkly synths right at the top got me. Like I love the sound on those. In almost any game that uses them, they sound really cool. It always starts me out thinking of like an isolate level or a cave level type thing, but like in this, because of what it was surrounded by, it didn't take me in that direction, and it very quickly kind of fell into that home, chilling at home kind of music. At some point during the track, I was taken almost to like the Hebereki games. There was something about what was going on there. That I was like, oh, what was that game that like it took me a few passes to remember the name Hebereki, and then I was like, oh yes, like those cute little critters and what they were doing, like that's just kind of what got me. And like I loved how cheery the track was. And then when we got to the remix, like that felt like, for what you said earlier, this felt very dancey to me.
Okay.
I got much more of a dance vibe out of this. I like the synths that they were using. Like I don't know how to describe it. I called it like the glass / crystal synth that's used a lot throughout it. And then at some point it switched to having more of like a string synth. It sounded like it was trying to mimic violins and strings. And then at one point I chuckled because there was like a sound effect that was put in there that reminded me of like a power loss, like Mario losing the mushroom.
Yeah.
Like that when that hit, I was just like, what the hell? what was that? That was like, it was funny. It wasn't out of place, but it was like a bit of like what I call musical comedy, where it just was unexpected and it just made me chuckle. And by the time the track finished, I realized a lot of what it was reminding me of is kind of that Scott Pilgrim the movie, the game, Anamanaguchi.
Oh yeah,
type of
for
sound.
sure. Yeah,
okay,
absolutely. I see that a lot.
That makes a lot of sense knowing what the game is. Which
Right.
I guess, you guys kind of covered it musically, and I kind of added some stuff in. So I guess we could move on to the game itself. So the game was composed for the wavetable and FM versions by Takeshi Abo, who we mentioned earlier. The remixes that were done for this Ultimate version are by Jameson Bose, so we'll get more into them later in the episode. But this game is a 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up chibi style. So all the characters are chibified versions of characters from the Phantom Breaker game, the original Phantom Breaker game, which was a fighting game that came out, I believe, for the Xbox 360 way back when. And then they made a spin-off game, which was Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds. And then they made Overdrive, and now they've got Ultimate out. It's the same game, but they tweaked a bunch of things here and there. This newest version is the Unreal Engine 5. Which is what it's running on, so it offers...
Oh, did they redo the entire game in that engine?
Yeah, so it offers better visuals. It's got like basically like a bloom effect on a lot of different stuff. Smoother gameplay, updated effects, and just an overall better performance. It feels faster. It feels very speedy and very responsive, much more so than the original game. Not that the original game was bad, but There's also more room for characters too, which we'll get into the characters in a bit. There's more DLC as well. There's DLC coming. So yeah, it's they really slammed it full of lots of good stuff. Story-wise, it takes place in Tokyo, and there's a mysterious man named Phantom who's plotting to regain his sealed powers. So by giving weaponry known as Fu-Mention artifacts, or FAs, to young characters with special abilities, he lures them into battle with the promise of granting the victor whatever they desire.
Sounds like a creep.
Right? However, unbeknownst to the participants of this, the violent clashes of the aforementioned artifacts cause distortions in the fabric of space and time, creating rifts between this world and other parallel worlds. And these rifts that will ultimately compromise the seals that are binding those phantoms' powers. Or binding the phantoms' powers.
So he's tricking these kids into using these artifacts to get what he wants, essentially.
So Waka is one of the characters. She's the daughter of the Kumon family, which is an ancient clan that has waged war against evils, along with the support of Mikoto. They fight to thwart Phantom's evil plan, but despite their combined might, Phantom manages to escape just in time. And while fleeing, he kidnaps Waka's younger sister, Nagi Kumon. Itsuki is a maid and self-proclaimed arbiter of justice and Yuzuha. She's a ninja who has resisted Phantom's temptations, and she joins forces with Waka and Mikoto to pursue Phantom and rescue Nagi.
So many ninja maids running around in Japan.
I'm just saying. So those are like the main 4 characters of the game. We'll get into more later in some of the DLC and stuff, but that's the basic story. And what that tells me, the name of the song, with it being like Coming Home, I'm wondering if there's something that, like, as far as I've gotten in the game, I haven't gotten back home yet. I'm still in like the parallel dimension or whatever. So I'm wondering if like they do return home and that's kind of what happens. So
spoiler, I think they do.
Probably, yeah. It's probably a happy ending.
Do you think they break the Phantom?
Maybe. They may even Battlegrounds Ultimate. There may or may not be an overdrive involved. Yeah.
Jeez.
Oh boy. So yeah, as far as versions go, I think I like the wavetable version the best. Although I do like that FM. I'm going to change my answer. I'm going to go with the FM. I really like the visual novel aspect of this track.
Yeah.
It really fits the sound. Wavetable would definitely be runner-up, and the remix, it was all right. But like you guys, I wasn't feeling it as much.
Yeah. I think I would have gone with the wavetable if the percussion hadn't been too distracting for me.
Yeah.
So the FM version had a lot of benefits, plus it had a little bit more of a realistic sounding drum kit. So that's gonna be my favorite.
Okay.
No, that's fair. I really enjoyed the wavetable version. I didn't dislike the remix. I don't know where you got that, Mike, but.
No, I thought that you meant that you liked the other versions better than the remix.
I mean, I might have said something like that. I don't even remember anymore.
Oh,
but
well.
No, once again, I liked all 3. There are aspects that I like more on each one, but overall, I think I enjoyed the wavetable one a little bit more. So
okay, so we have that. 1 wavetable, 1 FM,
and 1 FM.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, I guess we can get into my pick. We're doing a song that I've seen different names for. It's called Claw of Xenia on most sites, but like the word Xenia is like all over the place for the pronunciation.
The spelling is very strange.
Yeah, ultimately, I believe that you hear this when you're fighting a character named Coco.
Oh.
So I don't know where they got Xenia from, but yeah, let's take it away with the wavetable version. All right, that was the wavetable version of Claw of Xenia. Now we're going to be listening to the FM version. That was the FM version of Claw of Xenia. Now we're listening to the Ultimate Remix version. All right, welcome back to XVGM Radio. That was Claw of Xenia, the remix version of the song arranged by Jameson Boaz, originally composed by Takeshi Abo. I don't know why I would like this one.
It's a mystery to me.
It's a horrible night to have a Claw of Xenia.
Yeah. It's very obviously a Castlevania track, at least the wavetable version. I'm going to be completely honest, the wavetable version's my favorite. Without a doubt. It just channels that Castlevania sound the best, I feel. The FM version is not bad, but it loses something. It's a little too light, a little too like floaty sounding. Actually, you made a point during the break that it sounds more like Rusty than Castlevania, which I could agree with. It also doesn't sound like Castlevania Bloodlines either, which is a Genesis FM game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's somewhere in between. So it's not bad. I really, really like that version, but Wavetable does it for me. The remix version is interesting because they really tried to channel what's going on right now in Japan with the kawaii metal movement.
Like baby metal and stuff. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Kind of.
Now I get it.
There's one band that I follow that originally started off as a Toho cover band, doing like Toho game arrangements.
Oh, that's cool.
They're called Unlucky Morpheus. They've been one of my favorite bands for like a long time now, and they do basically this music, but less synthy. Like they have a violinist that plays in the band. So they have, I think, 2 guitarists, a bassist, a singer, a drummer, and they're considered a supergroup. And they also have a violinist in the band. So they play a lot of this sort of stuff. Obviously a little bit faster, a little bit heavier, but this really kind of channeled a lot of the vibes from some of that. But I will say, when it leans heavier into the violin, I prefer it. But when it kind of reels back and introduces the synth instead, I'm less interested in this remixed version. So it's not bad. It's just I vastly prefer the wavetable version. I think it hits the hardest.
I get that. I would go so far as to say the remix version, I think, is the weakest version of the 3. Not that I disliked it. I didn't have as much to say about it by the time we got to it.
Yeah.
The only thing that I really did notice is the drums. Like the drumming in the remix version is like, metal drumming. You got like the double bass and everything else. It's very fast. It's very intense. I thought it was really cool. And as I've said many times, like it takes a bit for me to like focus on and notice the drums. So the fact that like the remix version actually said like, hey, we're doing something different over here and got me to notice it, I thought was pretty cool. The wavetable version, like as soon as it started, within the first like 2 notes, it was like, oh, I see why you picked this.
Yeah.
Like just immediately screamed Castlevania.
Yeah.
It was the only thing I could actually write down for a while. I was like, I can't even focus on anything else in the song because my brain is saying is just like Castlevania.
Right.
I will say the snare sound in the wavetable one of this track sounded more like the snare that I'm used to hearing in a wavetable track.
Yeah, very punchy.
It still sounds a little bit weird, but it sounded more like what I'm used to than in some of the other ones that we had. I also liked, there was a couple of different like motifs that they were using throughout, not like musical like note run motifs, but just like the octave change that they did, and
I love that. Yeah,
certain things that they were doing over and over that I was like, I like the use of these tools is the wrong word, but I can't think of anything else.
That's a good point. I totally forgot about the octave change.
Yeah, you're the one who actually pointed it out.
I know, I pointed it out too.
I was like, well, if he's not going to say it, I'll say it.
Right.
And then towards the end of listening to the wavetable version, that main melody, I realized like it sounded kind of familiar to me, and I was like, oh, it almost sounds like, but not quite, the original like Gauntlet theme, like do 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 do.
Oh yeah, very Baroque.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I will say in this go around, I think the FM version was my favorite. The sound was sharper, which in this one I actually liked how those sharper tones kind of factored into the song. It almost, again, going towards the Baroque stuff, that's kind of how a harpsichord sounds. It's got a sharper sound to it.
Yeah.
So I liked how that was doing things. In the beginning, this actually changed. I wrote down the bass isn't buzzy, it's tinny. And in the beginning, there was like a tin quality to the bass, which towards the end, I realized it didn't sound buzzy, but it was not tinny, like it sounded more full. And I'm guessing that was like a change of instrument that I just wasn't paying attention to and just like, it just happened there. Also, in the middle of that FM version, there was like a keyboard slide that came out.
Yeah.
I was just that was nifty. Like I didn't hear that in the wavetable version, and I didn't hear it in the remix, and I didn't hear it a second time. I was hoping to hear it again at the loop, and then I didn't. I was like, well, I know what I heard. It was neat, but it was just like I wanted to hear it one more time. I think my favorite part about that FM version was like right towards the end, where everything but the bass line dropped out for a few beats. It was an unexpected thing, and I was like, oh, that's a really cool thing to do in this, like draw your attention. Like, this isn't the same track, just FM. Like, we can do different things.
Yeah, make it a little more dynamic.
Yeah.
I feel like Jamison Boaz didn't really like listen to a lot of Castlevania music or maybe even care for it that much because I don't think he understands like how Castlevania melodies are written.
Yeah.
Like with Takeshi Abo's, you're like, especially in like that kind of repeating B section, da 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 da. He was just like da 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 da. Like there was no dynamic pressure to any of those notes in there, and it didn't give you that kind of up and down staccato feeling that a lot of the Castlevania music does.
Yeah, true.
And I was like, this is high energy, but it's like, it felt flat, like not the notes were flat, but just the energy level was very flat. Where the FM and the wavetable both felt really dynamic, and that it brings you up and down, almost like within like different measures it would bring you up and down.
Yeah.
So obviously going with the chiptune versions for this. And I don't know, now we're tied, FM and wavetable. So which one am I going to choose? No, I'm going to go with the wavetable, I think. Just because it really does sound the most authentic to what I think they were trying to capture, which was Castlevania music.
Yeah.
That's fair.
The FM was very good, like very close second.
Yeah.
But you got to go with the OG.
Yeah, for sure. This, I believe, here when you're fighting Coco, who's one of the other characters. There's quite a few characters in this game outside of those four. There's also guest characters as well, but in total there's a total of 38 characters, playable characters.
Oh my god,
in this game. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah,
and they all cost $12.
Yes, of course. Yeah, 38 total characters, playable characters in its co-op and versus modes. The game has a story mode, it's got an arcade mode, the co-op, the versus, online mode, everything. So there's a lot to love about this, and it has RPG elements as well. So it's not just like a standard beat 'em up. After you finish a level, you're collecting these gems
and coins,
coins and stuff as you're playing the game, beating up bad guys. And as you're collecting these items, you will get the chance at the end of the level to level up your character. And so you're given a couple different categories that you can level up, but I believe the max is 99, or at least it was on the previous version. I don't know if they've changed that for the new version for Ultimate, but I believe 99 was the max. So
feels like a cross between Guardian Heroes and River City Ransom.
Yes, which makes sense because for the Guardian Heroes reference, you can change planes twice, basically. So, you're either in the foreground or in the background. So, yeah.
And like a fighting game, you're pressing up to jump. So it has more like fighting game style moves.
Right, yeah. And so
and a block button.
There's, if you press, I think it's all 4 face buttons, you can do this super power move if your bar is charged, and you're basically like, it's a kill everything on the screen sort of move. It doesn't really work for bosses, but...
No, but it'll get you a ton of gems and coins when the screen is full.
Right, and generally when you're playing bosses, you are also fighting bad guys too.
So it'll at least clear out the mooks.
Right. The mooks.
The Goombas.
Yeah. So we'll talk more about the characters and the certain unlockable characters that you can get in a bit, but...
We only got one more break to go.
Yeah. Let's talk about the composers. Yeah. So Takeshi Abo, I'm pretty sure we've talked about.
We've talked about it a few times. I don't think he's not like Nobuo or any of the people that we've talked about to death that we don't list tracks anymore.
Well, we've definitely talked about him in reference to this game, or at least Battlegrounds Overdrive, because I've played, I think, 2 tracks now from Battlegrounds Overdrive. One was the Akihabara, and I absolutely love that song, and I wanted to pick that song for this, but I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then I can't remember the other song that we played. It might have been the song that I just played. I can't remember, but I think I looked it up and it was a different name, so I was like, okay, we're in the clear.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he started out way back when on the FM Towns doing Might and Magic Clowns of Zine in 1993. Then he did Starfire on the PC-98. So primarily was like FM Towns and PC-98, and then later joined like doing like Sega Saturn stuff like Can Bunny Premiere 2, and also the first game. Games like Ishin Kaikoku on the Saturn. And TurboGrafx CD, they did Dead of the Brain 1 and 2. They did the sound effects for that. But yeah, Takeshi Abo's been doing tons and tons of music over the years. It would take so much time for us to go over it. They're the composer on the Steins Gate games.
Yeah, he's most well known for that, from what I understand.
Yeah. Yes. Which makes sense because there's a Steins Gate character in this game as well as a bonus.
Yeah, well, the same development house did this game and the Steins Gate series.
Right,
so that makes sense too.
Yeah. Their latest game actually is not this. It is Iwakura Aria, which came out on the Windows. So he's a busy guy. He's always composing, similar to some other composers that we've covered in the past, like Hitoshi Sakimoto and stuff like that.
He's also really busy online. Like, he's got a blog that's currently updated up to like late October.
Oh, wow.
Like the last time he updated.
Okay.
So he will post when games that have his soundtracks will come out. He'll post like official uploads of YouTube videos of songs that he's done in the past. Mm-hmm. And he's got a full blog for his custom tweaked out Honda Prelude SIV tech and all the maintenance and like little like photo picture blogs of
cool.
like all the modifications he's doing to it and where he's driving it around in Japan.
Okay.
So it seems like he's got a good sense of humor and like he's a really personable guy. So you can go to valsound.com, which is his company. It stands for Various Audio Laboratory.
Oh, okay.
And that's
I've heard that name before.
Yeah, so you'll see that sometimes credited in games, and that's his stuff. So he's a car nut and a music nut. So
yeah,
sounds like a good guy to me.
Yeah.
So Jameson Boaz, or Bose, is mostly like a sound engineer from what I see. So a lot of audio credits, but only a handful of music credits. So the first one here is for 2012's Resident Evil Revelations on the Nintendo 3DS. He was a recording engineer. Also, other games that I'm aware of, Blaze Blue, sound engineer on that. A whole lot of recording and sound engineering on Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City and Resident Evil 6. So just kind of sticking to those things. I see Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge, sound engineer. So he's had his hands in a lot of things.
A lot of engineer work.
Yeah. Devil May Cry 5 in 2019 listed as sound recording engineer and lead ADR sound engineer. If we take a look at the musical things that we have here, Terrain of Magical Expertise in 2021 is listed as a song vocalist for The Last Thing You'll See Live, and also credited as Smooch, or for Smooch.
Maybe it's just like a kiss sound effect, and that's all he did for the game.
That would be hilarious.
That'd be amazing.
Phantom Breaker Omnia, which is Phantom Breaker you were talking about is the fighting game.
Yeah.
So Omnia is the more recent re-release of the fighting game.
Is it a re-release or is it a new game? I thought it was
I think it's just the new
I think it's just a new sequel to Phantom Breaker.
A new game in the Phantom Breaker series.
Oh, yeah. I misunderstood when I was taking a look at it. It seemed like there were only two games, Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds and Phantom Breaker, and they just kind of keep getting re-released and updated.
The chronology is a little weird because the original games came out in Japan long before they came out over here. So I think by the time the original game got here, the remake was already coming out in Japan. And then they kind of cycled back to the remake, and then Omnia came out in both countries like simultaneously or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So it's like a Final Fantasy thing where it's like, which one came first, the chicken or the egg?
He's credited on that one as Epsilon Zero for the Phantom Breaker Omnia. I'm not sure why, but that's, I guess, his handle or whatever.
I guess, yeah. Also did a whole bunch of lyrics for tracks in that game, it looks like.
Yeah.
And then I think the only other music credit that I see here is for Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds Ultimate. So yeah, it definitely gets around, and I don't see him being nailed down to any one company. So
gross. Yeah, he's a Capcom guy, a Koei Tecmo guy, kind of all over the place.
Square Enix for the Octopath Traveler.
Okay, well, let's get into our final pick. It feels like this just flew by, but...
Yeah, lots to talk about, but we're going to listen to the three versions of the track that I picked, which is called Beyond the Horizon. All right, that was the wavetable version of Beyond the Horizon. Now let's take a listen to the FM version. All right, that was Beyond the Horizon's FM version, and now we're going to hear the remix. All right, believe it or not, that is the last thing you will hear on this Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds Ultimate episode, or at least that's the last track you're going to hear, because we have heard 12 tracks tonight.
12 different versions of 4 tracks.
Yeah. Yes. So it was Beyond the Horizon. I found this to be a very interesting track just because, I've listened to it before. I had to listen to it to pick it. But as I was listening to it again just now, I kind of went, oh, yeah, it makes sense that I picked this one because this kind of sounds like a Mega Man track.
It does.
I can hear it.
And then as it went through, I was like, wait, does this sound like a Ninja Gaiden track? And then as I listened more, I was like, no, this still sounds like a Mega Man track. Okay.
I could see elements of Ninja Gaiden in it.
And that's the thing. Like there were certain things that they're doing that made me go, oh, this maybe is a little Ninja Gaiden. And then in my mind, I was like, I actually don't know the Ninja Gaiden soundtrack all that well, so I might just be making that up. I've heard it a bunch of times, because it's a game that you enjoy, and I've heard the music, but I just kind of second guessed myself. Towards the end of the track, at least on the wavetable in the FM version, I feel like it almost could be like a Mega Man, like a Wily stage or something. It's funny because a lot of times on the tracks that you enjoy, you tend to pick things with a galloping bass, and this one had like a galloping snare, which I just didn't notice it at first until I was just like, oh, hey, that snare is doing the dun 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 for it. I also really enjoyed the stereo effects that they were doing in the wavetable version, where you'd have the kind of a melody right in the center, and then you'd have these other things happening off to one ear or the other. We went into the FM version, and it felt much darker. I really liked the shift in tone. And then as I was listening to that, the actual tones that they're using, not like the overall tone, but the sounds and the sound font that they're using, reminded me a lot of Sonic. Like I was hearing a lot of Sonic kind of music in that.
Okay.
And the bass line was also much more pronounced, and I felt like they were having a lot of fun with the bass line. The remix, I really don't have a whole lot to talk about. Once again, I feel like the remix is probably the weakest of the 3 versions. I think it's a good rock cover, but by the end of it, it felt a little bit repetitive, and I kind of just felt like it was, it was a decent, rock cover of a VGM tune, which, there are plenty of them out there. I enjoy them, but it's not something that I would find myself listening to in the car, like we sometimes say.
Yeah.
Like I would definitely fall back to either the wavetable or the FM version.
I felt like the wavetable version had a much stronger call and answer vibe. Those aspects were definitely very strong. And when they switched over to the FM, they were still present, although it wasn't as strong until like the second go around.
Oh, okay.
So when you had the da 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 da, and that got much stronger sounding as the track got longer, which I really liked, that they didn't just stick with what happened on the wavetable version. But I gotta shout out the keyboard run on the FM version. Sold me for this to be my favorite version. I loved that.
I definitely heard the Mega Man-ish stuff in the wavetable, and as soon as the FM started up, I thought, this really sounds like Thunder Force 3 or Elemental Master. Something of that ilk, where it's very kind of rock, very dark.
But not as abrasive as those.
Not as abrasive, but like it still had almost like a Black Sabbath-ish quality to it. Maybe like later Ozzy stuff, maybe not like classic Black Sabbath.
I was gonna say,
like, especially like the chunky, like kind of galloping stuff.
Yeah.
So I really, really liked that. And again, like you said with the arranged or the remixed version, I don't know, they're falling flat for me.
The first one was good. The first one
was really good.
Yeah.
It just, because I think that one relied more on like the keys and the melodies, so it just kind of, it was a very melodic piece. So when you arrange it, just the strength of that kind of comes out. But with the more like metally, rocky ones, I don't know, it doesn't feel as dynamic as the chip-based ones, in my opinion.
I think the biggest problem is the notes are not as punchy and strong.
Exactly.
They're more rounded off, and that's the biggest problem that I think these remixes have as compared with the originals, which sound so strong and powerful.
Right. And especially playing as background music in a video game, it's going to be that kind of music like Dynasty Warriors or something, where it's just kind of like a wall of sound in the background, and it adds to the atmosphere, but you're not going to be humming it to yourself. Whereas with the chip ones, you're really going to, access those melodies in your head. But anyway, so the FM was definitely my favorite of the 3. And all round, I mean, it's an awesome sound. There's like, 30, 40 tracks in this soundtrack? There was a lot.
There's only like 7 or 8 stages in the game itself, I think.
Okay.
So it's not a very long game, but it's a repetitive game in the sense that you're playing it over and over again to try to boost your stats, to try to level up your characters, much like in Scott Pilgrim, which you mentioned earlier, Justin. So it very much is a game that you want to continue playing over and over again, unlocking new characters, trying out the new characters, leveling those up. So if you liked Scott Pilgrim, you're going to love this game. It's got a very similar like visual design and aesthetic. For this Ultimate version, I wanted to add that they dubbed the game like into English, and the script is not great. Like, I don't know, like, it's such a weird vibe as compared to the Japanese original, which even though it came over to North America, they did subtitles.
Yeah.
But like just the cutscenes and the story mode seem to kind of drag out a bit. And I don't particularly care about the story. So I'm just kind of, I don't know. That's, I guess, why arcade mode exists. But I do like the leveling up aspects of this game. So it's very fun. It's very easy to pick up and play. My 7-year-old basically wanted to play it too. She just mashed the buttons and she had a great time. Yeah. So it's a very easy game for all ages to pick up and play. So
yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of content, and if you like these tracks, you'll definitely hear more of the same. You know, and you could just listen to one of the style, or even compile your own favorites.
You can switch
going
it
down the list.
You can switch it on the fly too in the game,
Right.
in the
That's
settings.
cool.
Yeah.
So if you just like to hear the FM, you could just hear the FM. If you just want the wavetable, et cetera, et cetera. So one final note: there was a DLC that recently got announced and released, and it's got an interesting history regarding who the character is. So I already mentioned that there's like Steins Gate characters and stuff like that. There's some other side characters from other like games or anime series or whatever, but it is Kaho Shibuya. Do either of you know who Kaho Shibuya is?
I'm not familiar.
Name, I mean...
So in the game, Kaho Shibuya is a humble baker's daughter by day and a magical girl by destiny, using bread as her weapon in a freshly baked moveset. However, Kaho Shibuya is a former Japanese AV star. And she left the industry, I don't know when, but she started doing like cosplay. And she moved to like, I think LA or something like that. Like she moved to the US. And she started doing cosplay and, you know, was very active on social media and stuff. And eventually she started doing stuff at cons. I think she does like interviews and stuff like that. So it's rare to see a Japanese, basically a porn star, come out of that sort of role and come into something where they can fully transition out of that
adult films,
like
yeah.
it's like sex working basically.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting to see her go that route. And so yeah, I follow her on social media, and I mean she's gorgeous. Like don't get me wrong, but like she's in this game, and I didn't.
Did she open up a bakery or something?
No,
Where did this whole
she's
bakery thing
she's
come from?
really into baking, I
okay.
guess. And so there's a whole video where the developers chat with her, and she speaks like English and everything too. I watched the video because that's how I found out about this. I think she was on like E3 type, you know, like some sort of like panel where they talked about it, maybe at San Diego Comic-Con or something like that. And they were just like, you know, so how did this all come about? And they kind of tell the story about how they approached her, or maybe she approached them. I can't remember the details, but long story short, yeah, the Kaho Shibuya is in the game. She's DLC. I think they're doing more DLC as well, but I mean, like 38 characters, that's a lot to choose from. That's a lot of time to spend in the game.
And
so.
it's the kind of game where like the characters are chibi, you know, the frames of animation, they're good, but it's not like Neo Geo, like crazy animation.
No, this isn't like, you know, Marvel versus Capcom.
Right. So to put characters in probably isn't a whole lot of work. So you get a lot of content for your buck. And if you like the gameplay style, you're never going to run out of new characters to play and level up and master.
Yeah, yeah. So I thought that was a kind of a fun detail. But that brings us to the end of our episode. And
Next episode, porn stars in video games.
That's it. I think we're going to pick our favorites just period, right? I think that's the way we would do it. So, Ed,
Sure.
what do you think? What's your favorite song out of all of these songs?
Put me on the spot right away. I am going to pick... Honestly, I really liked I'm Frau, so I think I'm going to pick the FM version of I'm Frau. Okay. I'm going to turn that Frau upside down.
Nice.
What about you, Justin?
I think I'll go with the FM version of Tadaima.
That's a good one.
Good try.
Yeah. As much as I want to go with the Claw of Xenia, I think I'm going to go with your FM Beyond the Horizon, Justin.
Oh, yeah? I really expected you to just be like, I like Claw of Xenia.
Yeah.
Just like
No, I really... Because you know what it is I've heard the soundtrack so many times in my car.
Fair.
But this track, I always forget, is so good on the FM version. Those keyboard runs, the call and answer vibe, it really does harken to Mega Man. And so I really love that version. So that's my pick.
Nice.
Sweet.
What are your favorite versions of the tracks that we played? Have you played this game? Let us know in our social media anytime you can. So we'd like to take a moment to thank our Patreon patrons, without whom this show's continued improvement would be impossible. They are Cam Worma, Rage Cage, Kung Fu Carlito of the Heroes 3 podcast, Scott McElhone, Claire Myers, Reptile, Brad Austin, Chris Murray, Nick Davis, Ryan McPherson, Red Hua, and Kitty Sparks.
If you would like to become a patron, you can sign up at patreon.com/XVGM Radio. There you can see the different tiers as well. Just $1 gets you a thank you at the end of the show and access to our monthly live shows.
You can visit our website, xvgmradio.com, where you can listen to all the episodes and learn more about your hosts, as well as any of our guests or composers that we've had on the show.
If you'd like to reach out to us, you can always email us at xvgmradio@gmail.com.
If you've liked what you've heard, please consider giving us a review on iTunes.
You can join our Facebook group and chat with other VGM lovers at facebook.com/groups/xvgmradio, where we talk about everything from current game news to sharing awesome VGM tracks, or just talking about the podcast itself.
You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram. Our handle on both of those sites is @XVGMRadio.
If you don't have any other social media or just want to try something unique, check us out on our Discord group chat. Links will be in the show notes.
All right, so coming up, we've got a pretty loaded schedule. In December, we are going to be doing a live show on the 12th, and it's going to be patron picks. So patrons, get ready to vote.
If you haven't already,
there's going to be a vote. And it's going to be whatever wins is going to be the pick for what we decide to play. Then on the 16th, we'll be doing our After Dark, and it's Justin's pick. So what do you pick?
So I've picked the Time Spinner original soundtrack. It's a record that you sold to me a while ago. I really enjoyed the soundtrack to that game, and I really enjoyed the interview that we did with Jeff Ball. And then I realized that that episode was from our first year. It was from the December of our first year. So I said, well, better pick in this December for an After Dark than to kind of harken back to that. It was 7 years ago.
Yeah, almost to the day.
Yeah.
So that episode, by the way, is episode 15. So if you want to get ready for that, go check out episode 15, Time Spinner, the Jeff Ball interview.
Yeah.
When we come back, though, in December for our regular episode, our last episode with Justin on as like the only co-host, that is going to be Super Scope games.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And you're not having me on?
I know. Yeah. Well, we did on Pixel Tunes. We did a Super Scope.
Exactly,
we did two Super Scope.
We did a
games,
we did
right?
a light gun game episode. Yeah.
Yeah. But we also did focuses on Battle
we
Clash,
did Battle Clash and Metal Combat.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I wanted to return back to that topic and instead cover just Super Scope games.
Cool.
Because, Battle Clash and Metal Combat are fantastic, but there's a lot of games that use the Super Scope that you'd be like, really? That game? So I thought this would be a really cool thing to revisit.
Yeah,
so.
and that is another thing from my childhood. I had a Super Scope, and I didn't have a ton of games, although I don't think there were a ton of Super Scope games. But I remember really, really enjoying the Super Scope. Like, I was kind of meh on the Zapper from the NES, but something about the Super Scope and the way they did those games, probably some of the Mode 7 stuff.
Yeah.
There was, what was it, Yoshi Safari? I remember playing the heck out of that game.
I actually picked mine up right after we did the Super Scope games on Pixel Tunes. I literally was like, this is so cool.
you came over and we played Metal Combat and Battle Clash. You were like, these are amazing.
I was like, these are so good. The soundtracks are great. The games are super fun. I was like, I got to buy this. And my Super Scope is sat since. I don't think I maybe played it once or twice, but yeah, it's basically sat somewhere in the game.
Well, now's a good reason to take it back out again.
I was going to say, we should plan a day in December to just do Super Scope stuff.
Yes.
I would be excited for that.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Cool. All right, so that leaves us with the finale. Thanks again so much for listening. This is Mike.
And Justin.
And Ed.
Signing off for XVGM Radio.
Suck it, Janine.